Good evening. We're out tonight. We're going to put out some sweet potato plants. I want to show y'all how we do buy some, usually get them at Southern States. And those are the ones that we put out in the tubs out by the greenhouse. But I also usually start some in the house. These are just sweet potatoes that we grew last year that we still had left. But you can go to the grocery store and buy whatever variety of sweet potato. Usually you can just get like the orange ones or red, whatever they are, and then the white ones. And we've never grown the white ones, so that is something to think about. But you take your potato and just like it comes from the grocery, you put some toothpicks around it all the way around, put it in a jar and some water. You want to put it, these tipped over in the back on the way out here, so there's no water in them. But I just put the water till it touches the bottom of the sweet potato. Just the very end of the sweet potato. And they're gonna put off little shoots, like you see here. See all the little sweet potatoes here? And then when these get to a certain size, when they get big enough to set in a jar without being clear down in the water, you are just I'm going to show you one. I don't have my tripod, so I'm doing this with one hand. Okay, that one didn't break off good. But if you're using two hands, you can break them off right at the base of the plant. Then when you get to that point, when you get them tall enough, and you need to set them in, I set mine in the kitchen window in the sun. You take just take another mason jar, fill it about half or so full of water, however deep that you're going to need for your plants to reach into. And then you're just going to stick your plants down in the water. And they're going to grow their own roots. Then you're ready to plant. When they get a good root base on them, like these have. See the roots on these? Some of the plants aren't real big. These seem like these took forever this year to put roots off. To even start sprouting, they took forever. But once they did, then they done good. This is probably the biggest one, the biggest plant that we had. And it's got plenty of really good roots on it. And you can see, I just had, what, Steve, 4 or 5 potatoes? 4 or 5 potatoes is all I had. And when you pull the shoots off of the potato, just leave them, because they'll just keep sprouting more and more. I mean, I have pulled shoots off of this potato for, I don't know, probably a good month and a half, maybe 2 months now. And they just keep sprouting more and more off. And what we're going to do with these, since I haven't got these shoots here rooted, we're just going to plant this whole potato. And we've got 1 or 2 more back there that had some shoots on them. And we're just going to go ahead and put the whole potato in the dirt. And since it's got the shoots started, they'll be fine. But when you're ready to plant, just separate them out. Make sure they do have roots on them, though. If there's any that hasn't got roots started, then they're probably not going. I mean, you can stick them in the ground, but I wouldn't depend on them, because they may sprout and they may grow roots and they may not. But that's how we get a lot of our sweet potato plants. The thing about sweet potatoes, it's one of those things that they'll keep for a long time. If you've got a cool place for them, we don't even really keep them in the dark. I keep them in the pantry, just in a bucket or a bin. Make sure they're dry when you dig them. If it happens to be, a little wet when you dig them, make sure to lay them out, let them dry good. You can brush some of the dirt off. I wouldn't wash them. I would just you can take a dry towel or something and brush some of the excess dirt off. But unless there's a ton on them, I wouldn't even worry a whole lot about that. But we've still got sweet potatoes, a few left that we grew last year and dug last fall. They're the small ones. They're the little smaller pieces that, are a little bit harder to fool with. It takes more of them to amount to anything. But this is something that you can put out, and, just like potatoes, if you've got a good place to store them, you'll still have, if you plant enough, you'll still have food to eat the following spring. I want to show you these. These are our melons that we put out. They're coming up. We've got 2 or 3 varieties of watermelon. I can't remember for sure. One of them was Black Mountain. Oh, one of them was Moon and Stars. The outside of the watermelon is, of course, it's green, and then it has yellow spots on it, and it'll have big yellow spots and it'll have little yellow spots that kind of resemble the moon and the stars. That's the first time we've ever grown it. We also put out some banana cantaloupe. That's something new we've never grown. Are they here or are they in the other garden? I can't remember. I usually write this stuff down, and for some reason this year I didn't get it written down. So it's just going to kind of be anybody's guess what's what. We have a visitor that lives out here, out around the garden. Caught a picture of her on the trail cam last night. Night before last, something got in, tore a hole into the side of the chicken pen, and killed all of our chickens but one. We took it last night and put it in with Kindles so something wouldn't get it. And they actually left a chicken laying half in and half out of the pen that had been killed. So we left it laying there last night. We put the trail cam up on the post, and I checked the camera today, and I saw a deer in one shot, a cat in one shot, and a big raccoon in the next shot. So we're assuming that it was a raccoon that killed the chickens. We have a lot of issues with them here. Okay, over here is sunflowers. We put out some sunflowers and some sun hemp. This is something, it's like a food plot thing for deers that one of our guys from Pennsylvania brought in last year for us to put out. And it's actually really pretty. It gets really tall and it has yellow blooms all down it. I'm not real sure the deers were real crazy about it. Didn't seem like they ate a ton of it. But, and I think there may be a few more flowers in here. I'm going to have to learn to write stuff down because I forget. But I see there, it's all starting to come up. See the little, all the little things. This sunflower patch is absolutely beautiful. Every year it's beautiful. I like to have the whole thing in sunflowers, but we're not sure what else we're going to put out here. Do you know what you want to put here? He's over there working while I'm over here gawking at the flowers. We actually got a little bit of rain today. It wasn't a ton, but as you can see, it's still dry underneath. But they got a little drink of water anyway. It's been really dry here. I was really hoping it would set in and rain all night. But I don't know. I think it's all about moved out now. So maybe tomorrow. Okay, we're a little puzzled over our potatoes this year. These poor potatoes have struggled from day one. This first row here got froze way back early, got frostbit. Well, they actually might have gotten frozen because it got down in the 20s, in the mid to low 20s, so I guess technically that is freeze. These here that are yellow out in the center, these are the ones that we covered with the tarp for that second freeze. So we're not real sure why. They were just about those, and the ones that we covered with the pots and the tubs, they were the only ones that didn't get bit the second time. So we're not real sure why these are yellow like they are. They honestly look like they're going to die. He sprayed them for bugs. We don't know. Florida weave on the tomatoes. Here's what we've got done so far. We haven't had a lot of time to work on these. We work on them at night after he gets in and out of the... He's been in the hayfield this week, so we work on them a little bit every night. But here's what we've got so far. And so far, I really like it. It keeps them up. Some of these were laying flat down on the ground. They had already drooped down. They were so heavy. And I think the wind didn't help them. We had some pretty good wind one night. And you can see how the stem on this one is bent. That was laying flat on the ground. So it keeps them up, completely up off of the ground. Totally. And this is a new purchase this year. This thing I think is going to be a lifesaver. We both have bad knees. We have arthritis in our knees. So it's gotten really, really hard to get up and down. And, you know, when you got bad knees, you can't squat. You can't get down on your knees. So it's really been a lifesaver so far. We've not used it a lot, but I think it'll help out a whole lot. I just want to show you how much the beans are growing. And the tomatoes are growing. And then, here's what I really want to show. Look at that. Isn't that the cutest little pepper you ever saw? Look at that. Aren't they cute? I love them. I think those are the jalapenos. They're the non-hot jalapenos. I really love the flavor of jalapenos, but they can be a little hotter than I care to have. So I'm pretty excited for them. Sunflowers are up and growing. More coming up. These are the last round of beans that we sowed. So everything's trying to get taken off. Some marigolds that we put out. And over here, all those little tiny plants over in there, those are my zinnias coming up. I can't wait for them to come up and bloom either. We've had an issue with some of our tomato plants not looking real good. Right here's one. Here's an example. Right here. We have, they got little holes. If I can get it up here in front of the camera. And they're yellow on the tips and turning brown. So I sent a picture, posted a picture on one of my gardening pages online. And the advice that I got from other people were it was flea beetles. So he sprayed these with some organic bug spray. It looks like they're not as bad as they were. I'm hoping that's going to take care of them. I don't know. We'll see. Well, I'm going to go and we're going to get the rest of these tomatoes staked up tonight. And then I'll be left is waiting for them to grow and put out tomatoes. And as they get bigger, we'll probably end up having to add more strings as the tomatoes get taller. But we'll keep you updated on how things are going. Thanks for coming. Come back and see us. Don't forget to like our videos and share them. Subscribe to our channel so you can get updates. And have a good night. God bless.